Doesn't look like they've crashed. I was hoping for a crash and burn. You're seeing the best case scenarios that we aren't crashing the data files, that it looks like Dropbox is, depending upon what time, which program gets exited at what time, and by the date stamp on the file, it's deciding which is the one that's overriding the other one and not conflicting it for you. So that's actually quite a good thing, but I'm not going to trust that. I know you can get a complete data failure and a data corruption. In this case, we've ended up with quote number one that was for $1,000 that stayed. If I jump on the other machine, I'll prove to you that the other machine I actually created a quote, if you remember, for $2,000, and it was also quote number one. And you'll find that we've lost that. But you've actually seen the best case scenarios. You can see a complete data failure. You can actually get it to a fact where you run the computer or you run the software and it comes up with a complete error message and it's not going to run. The program won't run because the data files have collapsed themselves. Now you can actually get that anyway. Part of the reason that why you back up easy as or any file on your computer that you're using can get corrupted for any reason. We stress the importance of making sure you back up your data files for easy as, because that's a large portion of your business. The accounting program is something that no one wants to ever lose. You can lose a letter or a document, you can just recreate it, but once you lose your accounting stuff, it puts a lot of businesses in a lot of trouble. I myself, when I'm using my accounting data, I back up. Most of the time I'm trying to back up daily. It doesn't necessarily happen that way all the time, but and there we go. We've left with the same one on the laptop is the one that I rolled up for 1,000. So it hasn't fully corrupted the data, but we've lost one of the quotes. So you can see a scenario why when you're accessing from two different computers at the same time, you cause this drama. Okay, what happens if there was a major data collapse or there was an issue and you have to overcome it? The only way you can overcome that is you have to go back to a previous backup that you've created. And if you haven't got a backup, then you're really in trouble. Remember, even though your lockbox is copying your data files, keep calling it a lockbox, it's a Dropbox. Even though Dropbox is copying a copy of your data files from your main computer to Dropbox, and then it's copying those files back to your laptop, or the other way around if you were using laptop during the day and it goes backwards and forwards to your main computer. It's all the time, it's just creating a copy of those files. So if one of those files gets corrupted, all three locations is going to have a corrupted file. So don't treat this as being a backup, guys. This is not to be treated for backup purposes. A backup, if you go to the backup section on the main website, the backup is so that you have strategic points where you have known files that are not corrupted. Because even if you'd put Dropbox out of the picture, Dropbox, if you're using Dropbox and you're not using it at the same time, and even though you're seeing these data clashes here which haven't collapsed the files, which I'm quite surprised, this has more of an opportunity to mess it up. But if you're not accessing it at the same time and you're following a formula that you use yourself, the chances of being a data corruption is almost the same chance as corrupting the data normally. However, data corruption isn't something that you won't ever see. I would imagine that a lot of people are going to see at one point or another a data corruption. Some people it might take them 5 years or 10 years to see it. I've seen people with data corruptions, and to tell you the truth, it's normally been after storms that I've seen people corrupt the data files, and it's because the hard drive in the machine's corrupted and lost itself. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is a backup is completely different, and you need to do your backup as often as you feel, because you have to always say to yourself, if I lost my files today, if my files got corrupted or if the Windows crashed, I lost everything right now, where would I be? And if you lost everything right now and that would put you back into the Stone Age, you better go ahead and do a backup really fast. I always look upon it that if I've spent 2 or 3 hours entering information into my accounting stuff, I want to do a backup. If that's the last thing I do for the day, I want to do a backup. Why? Because I don't want to have to repeat 3 or 4 hours again. I don't have that sort of time to put into it. I don't want to waste that sort of time again. And I don't think anyone wants to waste that. And at the same time, sometimes you never reproduce it exactly the same. If you've been doing a quote or an invoice, and you put different information on there, you're never going to recreate the same thing again. Let's have a very quick look right now of fixing a problem so that you understand where we're coming from here. If we have a look at all these 3 computers, well, 2 computers in the Dropbox, we have the files on all 3 locations. Now, let's say we had a data corruption. What I would have to do then is, just jump to the other computer, is first thing you'd do is you'd have to go and delete the files from those locations. Because if you just deleted it from one location, Dropbox would instantly try to copy it back. But the quickest way to delete your files from all these locations is you go to your Dropbox. I'm going to go to Dropbox, and here's my Dropbox. If I right click on them and I just delete these files, you'll find that the moment I delete them from the Dropbox, it's going to delete them off the other 2 computers. It's very dangerous if you actually don't want that to occur, so just remember that if you delete something from the Dropbox, it's going to delete off your computer, so don't ever do it unless you really have to, unless you know what you're doing. I've now emptied that folder, and now you will see that a little pop-up coming up then. It was deleting off the computer. So if I jump into this computer here, you will notice that, if I can find out where that is, look in the Dropbox on the computer. I never noticed that until now. See how we've got conflicted copies? It's saved conflicts. Earlier we had those conflict copies, and I never knew it was going to do that. It saved conflicted copies here. So what it's done is it has deleted the 4 files that I just deleted. It's deleted it off this computer and from the Dropbox, and I'm going to say it's deleted it off the other computer too. Let's jump to the other computer so you can have a look. It would have deleted it from there as well. But what it's left is it's left the conflict files from earlier, so we do have some copies of some conflicts. These corrupted ones are still there as well, but see how they're on these 2 computers? But they actually were not in the Dropbox location. Not in the Dropbox, are they? So, when a conflict occurs, it does save some of these files. But we don't want them. I want to delete these conflicts. So we've learnt something. I didn't know that it would do that. Okay, so it actually deleted them. When I deleted it from one, it deleted it from the other. But it wasn't in the Dropbox. Interesting. Okay. Now that we've done that, if I've got a backup files, okay, so I've had a data corruption, and I'm now going to update my Dropbox with a copy of my backup files. So if I just click upload now, upload in the Dropbox, I think I'll right click on the Dropbox and click upload, and I choose these 4 files. I'm going to choose these 4 files and click save. Okay, it'll tell me when it's finished, I'm pretty sure. Oh, it's got the little blue lines coming up. Oh, there we go, it's doing it for each file. So once it's uploaded, I'm pretty sure then that it will automatically update both PCs. Okay, you see that that's been done now. It's uploaded and it comes up with the word done. Click done and we're finished. So I uploaded that to the Dropbox, and if we jump back to our computers themselves, you will see that they have also updated into the Dropbox on the computer. And there we go, it's updated those 4 files there, and it's also updated it on the other computer, and it's updated the 4 files there. So if you have a data corruption, you delete them from all the locations and put one of your backups on one of the locations. Usually that will suffice. You don't need to necessarily put it in the Dropbox like I've done. Just put it in one of the locations. So as long as, if you've got a complete data corruption or data failure and you've got no way of getting out of it and you just want to start from scratch again, you get one of your backups that you've done previously, delete from all 3 locations, and it's easy enough to do because you just delete from the Dropbox and it will delete from the other 2 locations straight away. And then copy one of your backups to one of the locations. And by doing it in one of the locations, the other 2 will update automatically because the Dropbox will take care of that for you. Right, well, I don't think there's anything else I need to show you for this particular element of fixing up some corrupted issues. Naturally, you're pretty much going to be on your own if this sort of thing happens, because naturally it's like anything. There's no way I can be there to hold your hand, and you're going to have to treat this as if your computer corrupted itself, because that's effectively what's going on. So self-preservation is what it's about. Always retain your backups. We do backups as often as you can, and if you accidentally muck things up, fine, so be it. You've got your backup. You don't have to panic. Just play around with what I've done, and you'll be fine. And a good way to test this, to say understand how it is test it with another file. Don't need to test this with your data for your accounting software, because on the Dropbox location, it's got other. You can just create another directory, or you can put a photo up on the in the Dropbox if you want, and see what happens if you delete that off one computer and you edit a Word document on 2 other computers at the same time, and cause them to get corrupted, and muck around with deleting that, and leave the easy as directory that we created for the files. Leave that alone, and forcibly corrupt something else. Have a play, get familiar with the service, and you'll find it's a really great service. I think you're going to find using Easy As and Dropbox is going to make life completely different when it comes to the program, especially if you have multiple computers.